as he continued to rise and entered into the NBA. So Mike Schmitz, you can see his fingerprints and influence all over the Trailblazers roster right now. And so I hate to see him go. I really thought he was awesome. I think the Blazers hired a superstar. But more importantly, I like to see guys who get an opportunity to make the most of it and then have a chance to go on and do bigger and better things. And I think it's a good sign. If people are looking to hire your people, that means you're hiring good people. So it's something that should be celebrated. Now, the skeptic that might exist in Rip City would look at the situation now with their new owner, Tom Dundon. And now the big question will be, will the Blazers be willing to go out and spend the type of money that is necessary if you want to add another person to the staff of Joe Cronin? Would they be willing to do that? Would they be willing to spend what only time will tell? But I think anytime you have a front office and you have the ability to add more people, smart people who can come in and help you make better decisions, you simply have to look into it. Basically, if I owned an NBA team, I would not spare any expense when it came to adding to my team if I thought it would help, the ultimate goal, which is to win games. And if you have more bright minds, more people that can scout, more people that understand the players, more people that have a good feel for the league, the better positioned you're going to be when it comes to acquiring players, making deals in trades, or selecting players in the draft. And that's why Mike Schmitz was a superstar for the Blazers, and now he's going to go on. And, the Dallas Mavericks have done a good job of cleaning house. They had the Nico Harrison experiment, which was a massive failure. He traded Luka Doncic, got nothing in return, handcuffed the franchise. They were fortunate to get lucky in the draft lottery and got Cooper Flagg, and now they've gone out and hired better people. Masai Ujiri is well-respected around the NBA. He's one of those sharp minds. He built the championship with the Toronto Raptors, and now he is able to add to his crew in Dallas and bring in Mike Schmitz. So that's well done by the Mavs. And if you're going to clean up a mess, the good franchises, what we've seen in terms of their habits over the course of time, when they make a bad hire or they have someone on board that's not getting the job done, they don't wait long. They are quick to move on and get better. And the Mavericks saw that with Nico Harrison. It's unfortunate and foolish that they allowed him to do what he did, but they moved on from him quickly, and then they go out and hire better people. Masai Ujiri and Mike Schmitz will form quite the tandem with the Dallas Mavericks. So there you have it. That's the latest there. And we'll see what the counter is going to be for the Portland Trailblazers. Will they add to Cronin's staff? How will they build out the front office? Will they replace Mike Schmitz? And then, of course, they got to continue with the coaching search as they talk to many candidates. I'll get into some of the specific names a little bit later in the show. There's been more reporting on that. But so far, the reported names are assistants, guys who are waiting for that first opportunity. So based on the list of people, it would not appear to be high-priced individuals because they'd be getting their first opportunity. That's the type of situation that could help Tiago Splitter. Because if you're talking to someone with no experience compared to someone that you have a good idea of what he's all about in Tiago, because he was with the team for a full year and he had an opportunity to face a lot of adversity, I think you have a pretty good feel for what Tiago's all about. I just think when you stack him up against people with no experience, that it's going to look pretty good. So there you have it. That's the latest. Mike Schmitz, assistant general manager for the Trailblazers, now in Dallas, and will work under Masai Ujiri and become the team's general manager. Smart hire by the Dallas Mavericks. Now tonight, we have two NBA playoff games, both which are going to be on Prime Video. So for those of you who don't like games on Prime Video, I apologize. 4 o'clock, so here in just about an hour, Game 3, Knicks and Sixers in Philadelphia. Now, the series so far through 2 games has been pretty much dominated by the Knicks, who are the hottest team in basketball right now. But Philadelphia tonight is anywhere from a 2.5 to a 3-point favorite. The line opened up as Knicks about 1.5 -2, but that quickly shifted when the money came in on the Sixers. But the big question mark will be who's going to be available. What about Joel Embiid? We're still waiting to get word on him. And then a hamstring injury for OG Anunoby, who is one of those unheralded players for the Knicks who does a lot of good things defensively. He can hit the corner 3. He brings size. Obviously, defensive-minded. Really enjoy watching him play. I think he's a tough player and a versatile guy to have on the floor. His status for tonight is unknown. Shams of ESPN had a chance to talk about Game 3 tonight and what we know. What's the latest with OG Anunoby? Here's what he had to say.
Malika, sources tell me OG Anunoby has been diagnosed with a right hamstring strain. The good news for the Knicks and Anunoby is that I'm told he has avoided a significant or serious level strain of that hamstring, and he's going to be evaluated day to day moving forward. He's actually even listed as questionable for Game 3 in Philadelphia on Friday night, just depending on the level of treatment over the next 24 hours. But there's going to always be caution when it comes to soft tissue injuries for the Knicks and Anunoby, who's been a player that has been one of the top two-way guys so far of these NBA playoffs.
All right, so he's going to be listed as questionable for this Game 3 and day-to-day moving forward, but it seems like Shams, he's avoided some serious injury here, which is good news.
All right, there you go. That's a report from ESPN from Shams. So we don't know what the status is, and we probably won't find out until we get closer to tip time, but sometime this hour we'll find out the status of those two players. Now, going into this series, based on what I saw from Philadelphia against Boston, the way they battled back to win 3 straight games and win that series in Game 7 back in Boston, I was really impressed. Joel Embiid was a serious problem for the Celtics. They had no answer. He was able to get to his spots, get to the foul line, and was a dominant force. And the Sixers also got some timely play from Paul George, and then Tyrese Maxey was just an animal in Game number 7. But now I'm starting to see some cracks in that Philly attack. The Knicks have been dominant through the first 2 games. Now, keep in mind, I thought it was going to be a long series, the Philly and New York going in. I thought it would be a 6 or 7 game series, but after watching the first 2 games, I'm not so sure. Meaning Philadelphia came out of that Boston series. They're pretty banged up. Joel Embiid is a question mark. And then they went small and were effective in Game 2, but they ran out of gas down the stretch and were unable to get over the hump. So my thought would be, I think New York might win the game tonight, and this might end up being a sweep. And if you listen to some of the comments of the guys, Paul George being one, Tyrese Maxey, they both talked about the fatigue that they experienced in that fourth quarter. I think they only put up 12 points in the fourth against the Knicks a couple of nights ago. And so what I'm concerned about for the Sixers is that they don't have quite the depth or effective depth that we do see from the Knicks. And you just got to wonder if Embiid's unavailable tonight and they've got to go small again, will they be able to have enough in terms of energy so they can execute the way that you have to be able to beat the Knicks in the fourth quarter? And I just don't know. They may not have enough in the tank. So this is looking like now a potentially short series compared to what I thought when we went in, when I thought it was going to be a 6 or 7 game series. But I really like the way the Knicks are playing right now. They obviously play really well at home in front of that crowd, which is a great atmosphere in Madison Square Garden right now. But they've been really connected well on both ends. I like the way they're playing defense. And Jalen Brunson, one of my favorite players to watch in the NBA, undersized guy who gets to his spots, incredible shot maker. And even though you know he's going left, you still can't stop him. Really impressed with the way he has played so far. So right now I'm leaning Knicks in game number 3, and we'll see how things shake out. But if the Knicks win tonight, this very well could be a sweep. And it's unfortunate for Philly. They had a great comeback over Boston, but you get to this point in the postseason, always look at the teams that have the best health and have the most players available, and those are usually the ones who are going to make the deeper runs into the postseason and be in a position to compete for a championship. Then at 6:30 on Prime tonight, we got that Game 3 Minnesota and San Antonio. It's been the most physical series of all the series remaining in the NBA playoffs. Both teams are defensive-minded, and Minnesota really, nutted up and got a big-time win in Game 1. They got routed in Game number 2, and now the series is going to go back to Minneapolis. It'll be at Target Center tonight. I really enjoy Minnesota, the way they play, the way they defend. Their coach, Chris Finch, I think he's really sharp. Like, they are a team that, like the Knicks, that are very well connected on both ends. And they have had to battle through injury, and they're still standing. So the key for me tonight will be offense. Is Minnesota going to be able to make enough shots from 3 and from the field to be able to keep pace in this game with San Antonio? And then with that, can they avoid foul trouble? How are they going to deal with Wembanyama as he continues to prowl the paint and look to block shots? He had 12 a couple of nights ago, which is pretty amazing. And that's why I think Jaden McDaniels' approach, or at least what Minnesota's trying to do, is pretty smart. Just continue to attack. You know he's tall. You know he's going to get block shots. You just have to continue to go after him. And that's one thing I like about Minnesota, their mentality. They're not going to back down. They're not going to be afraid. They're going to attack. And that's where guys like Julius Randle, obviously Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, they've got to continue to attack Wemby, even though he's a super difficult matchup. So I think Minnesota, if they're going to win this series, they got to win this game tonight. They've got to come out, set the tone defensively, win this game tonight, and put themselves in a position to win the series. But San Antonio, if you notice in the playoffs, a lot of times we get this zigzag, theory where, teams will lose a game, they make adjustments, come back in the next game and get the win. Normally I would like Minnesota in this type of spot where they're coming off a massive loss at San Antonio. But because it's a 1-1 series and the Spurs have every reason to be focused and locked in this game, I think it's going to be a tough battle. I still lean Spurs in the series. I'm pulling for Minnesota just because I like their story and the way they play. But I do think that Minnesota obviously is the better team. If you look at the roster, you look at what they have, San Antonio is the better team, but they lack the experience. And I also want to see how San Antonio responds. If Minnesota comes out early tonight and punches them in the mouth, we saw the Spurs in that series against the Trailblazers get down big on the road, games 3 and 4 by double digits in the second half. They were able to battle back and get the win. How will they respond against a better team that's really good defensively if they get down early or in the second half? How will they respond? How will they counterpunch? I can't wait to watch it. So the two series that are going tonight are my two favorites. On the other side, we saw it last night with Oklahoma City and L.A., a tremendous mismatch. Game 3 of that series back in L.A. will be tomorrow. And then we have Cleveland, and we also have Detroit. I got to give props to Cade Cunningham. A couple of years ago, I was like, okay, he's pretty good. And then we're seeing the emergence in the postseason, just his comfort level with the ball in his hands and the way he's able to create offense. Very impressive to me. Detroit is not a good half-court team, and they rely a lot up on Cade Cunningham in those tight windows to be able to create for himself and his teammates, but he does a really good job. I just like his mentality and his efficiency, and the defense is really keyed in on him. I'm impressed with Detroit and the way that they played through the first two games. And with Cleveland, they've struggled on the road. Last night was another example. They have yet to win a game on the road in the postseason. Now they're going to go back to Cleveland, and they've got to get something out of James Harden. He's turning the basketball over at an alarming rate. I think he's 3 of 17 from downtown in the series. Like usual, he is fading in the playoffs. But this time around, you can just tell that he's not the same player. He's older now, not as quick. They're attacking him, and they're going to have to find an answer. And it may be a situation where maybe you get late into these games, fourth quarter, maybe you got to look at a different option. Because right now, James Harden is hurting them. He's not helping them. But I do think Cleveland will bounce back and get a win in game number 3, and then we'll see if they can make it a series. So the phone lines are going to be open to you today. You can reach out 503-248-0620, 503-248-0620. You can jump on board. I want to talk to you. What are your thoughts on the Blazers losing Mike Schmitz to the Dallas Mavericks? Do you have any thoughts on the coaching search? NBA playoffs? What series are you paying attention to? And I'll get to it a little bit later in the show. We'll deal with what we're seeing in Oklahoma City and LA with the flopping. And then last night, it was so bizarre. After the game, the Laker players surrounded the officials trying to plead their case and get an explanation on the way the game was called. And for Oklahoma City, two things can be true. They are a great basketball team. They are the best basketball team, and they're the favorites to repeat as NBA champions. And they probably will. They're really good. And they're really balanced on both ends. So I'm not going to take anything away from them because I think they're a truly great team. But they're also a bunch of drama queens in the way that they flop, in the way they bait their opponents and the officials into getting calls. And it's not my type of basketball. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, if anyone on my team is helping my team by, using the theatrics that, any means possible to get calls and get to the foul line, I'm all for it. But I don't like it. I think it's unsavory to play basketball that way. And the Thunder, what they do is they really just get into your mind, because they beat you up on the other end with their defense. They're really physical. And then on offense, they get you guessing because you know it's coming. You know the whistle's going to happen, and there's no way you can get out of it. The funny thing is, to me, is that LeBron James, like a lot of stars in the NBA, he's just as theatrical as the Thunder are when it comes to, acting like he's been sniped when he gets supposedly hit in the face and no one touches him. He does the same type of stuff that we see from SGA. And most of the stars do. Why? Because they've been getting away with it for years, and they're able to get foul calls, which gets them on the foul line, which will help their opponent. So it's all nonsense. I just love the whining and the crying. And it's bad. And this is on the NBA. When you allow things to take place, when you don't have control of the games and your officials are bad, these are the type of situations you're going to have. So instead of talking about a team being great, we're talking about them being a bunch of floppers. And, that's on the NBA for allowing this stuff to continue. Guys should be penalized for flopping, and it should be severe to get that stuff out of the league. Before, when I was growing up, they had enforcers on the floor. So that if you started to pull some type of nonsense, somebody like Charles Oakley would put a forearm shiver into your face and to make sure that he sent the message that that kind of stuff's not going to be accepted out here. But the league doesn't want you to patrol yourself anymore because they don't want the fights. So if that's the case and you're not going to let guys clean it up like they do in hockey, then no problem. Get a better handle on your officials and on the rules to make sure that this nonsense stops and that the floppers, the theatrics get penalized so we can weed that crap out of the game. That's all. But yeah, it's not my style of basketball. If it helps my team, great, because unlike anyone else, I want to win. But to me, it's just unsavory to see a grown man flopping around when no one touches him and acting like he's just been sniped. It's not cool. But yet these guys have been doing it because they get away with it, and it benefits their team. All right, we'll come back. I'm live here at Spirit Mountain Casino, getting ready tonight for the Fortune Frenzy Cube. I love dropping people into the cash cube. So drawings coming up tonight at 6, 7, and 8. Justin Ballinger, my good friend and the sportsbook manager here at Spirit Mountain Casino, will join me next to talk some games. You can jump on board at 503-248-0620. I hope you're enjoying your afternoon. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. sportsbook manager here at Spirit Mountain Casino, is getting ready to take off to Hood River. He's going to be playing Indian Creek, which is a very good decision. I love that course up there. So I'm going to have him now for about the next 6 minutes before I've got to let him go so he can get on the road. First off, Indian Creek is great. My buddy Rev pointed this out to me years ago, and he's 100% correct. On days where it's raining in Portland, a lot of times you can roll out to Hood River and you get different weather out there at Indian Creek. So if you're jonesing for golf, Indian Creek's a good spot. But I love the course; it's beautiful up there, and you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, great. Sunny when it's sunny, you can see both mountains, Hood and Adams up there, and it plays. It's a great course. There's nothing bad I have to say about it. It's just it's a really good course, and it's really cool being up that close to the mountains and just the view that you get that you don't normally get like down lower in Portland.
I agree. It's spectacular for viewing. All right, let's talk some NBA games before you go, Justin. I'm looking at this New York-Philadelphia series, and we got Game 3 now back in Philadelphia. New York's up 2-0. The weird part about this series and this game tonight is we have injury question marks. We're waiting to get the status on OG Anunoby, who's got a hamstring injury. Joel Embiid's got a variety of different injuries, so we don't know what the status of either guy is going to be. But I've been watching the line on this game, and you being a bookmaker can help maybe decipher some of this. So when the line first came out after game number 2, New York was a 2-point favorite. Well, over the course of time, we're now seeing the Sixers right before tip, and we just got breaking news. OG Anunoby is going to miss the Knicks Game 3 matchup with the Sixers. So maybe that's the answer to this question. Knicks open up as a 2-point favorite. It quickly shifts to Philadelphia, the favorite, as 1.5, 2. And now the line is all the way up to 3.5, where the Sixers are favored. And all the money is coming in on both sides, tickets and money on the Sixers, and yet the line's continuing to move with the Sixers. So maybe that's the answer to our question. What were the books? Did they have a pretty good idea that OG was not going to play, so they're trying to adjust the number based on the injury?
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. Just the fact that it moved, already started moving 2 days ago with these big jumps, and we're getting breaking news now that OG's out. So it tells me again, we talked about this last time. There's not, they don't have necessarily this special machine that's going to tell them that a player's out ahead of time, but they always have such good reads on these sort of things. And to go with that, I did also confirm. It sounds like Embiid is going to give it a go tonight. So it sounds like he's in. I don't know that he's close to 100%, but, just his presence alone. So I think both of them are probably what drove this. And just the way that the money and the line moved early, it felt to me like a lot of it was injury related.
I wonder if this could be similar to what we saw in the Game 7 with Philadelphia and Boston last Saturday, where you remember, and you and I were texting each other because the line movement was violent. The Celtics were sitting there as anywhere from a 7.5 to an 8-point favorite, but then all of a sudden, a couple hours before game time, the line started to drop significantly. So the money and the tickets, everything's going towards Philly, and the line continues to drop, and that's because Jason Tatum was unavailable. Maybe they got word on that, but this feels very similar to that situation in Game 7.
Yeah, it does. And, that one was even almost more, I think, out of left field because it had that initial drop, and then it dropped again, before that Game 7 actually started. This one, now that we have this news, it's actually been 30, 40 minutes on it. The fact that it's not doing the crazy jumps that we saw in Game 7 does tell me that these injuries were probably cooked into this line a little bit earlier than what the Tatum was. The Tatum one, to me, almost felt like it was more of a surprise to the books and everyone because of that drastic 4 or 5 point line move it, last minute.
Okay, so in this one here, you'd probably stay away from it, but right now the indicators would look maybe a little bit Philly.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the money moving with the point spread is moving with the way the money's coming in, that tells me that the books, they don't want to take any more money on that team at that number, so they need to react themselves to it. So that just tells me, that they're a little timid, I guess, towards that Philly line.
Okay. Coming up later on tonight at 6:30, we got Minnesota and we got San Antonio, and this is a 1-1 series, a phenomenal win by the Timberwolves in game number 1. The Spurs are anywhere from a 4.5 to a 5-point favorite. What's the latest line here at the BetMGM Sportsbook at Spirit Mountain Casino?
Yeah, so we have Spurs at 5.5 now.
Okay.
When we opened this morning, it was down at 4.5. So when we've had more here, we've seen more Wolves money come in. So the line has moved against the money at this point, at least here at Spirit Mountain. So something to watch there.
All right. What do you think about that series? I still think the Spurs have the better roster, the better depth. They're the better team. I want Minnesota to win because I like their story, but the Spurs seem tough. They just don't have experience.
Right. I'm kind of in that same. But the Spurs, they almost feel like the Thunder, last year or 2 years ago. I remember the Thunder, they were so dominant last year, but they still went to Game 7, against the Pacers, and it felt like they were going through those growing pains before our eyes. I feel like the Spurs are doing a lot of the same things in these playoff run scenarios that the Thunder have done, in the recent past.
All right. Any thoughts on the two games that we're going to get tomorrow with scenes shifting back to Cleveland and L.A.? Right now, Cleveland anywhere from a 4 to a 4.5 home point favorite over Detroit after dropping both games on the road. And the Lakers, no surprise, 8.5, 9-point dog at home against the Thunder. That looks like a big-time mismatch.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, the whole throw the reffing stuff out because, that's just kind of what it is. But the Thunder are the better team. You watch the game. And I was actually surprised with LeBron again and the Lakers for how long they actually hung around last night before it pulled away. But, I mean, tomorrow's game for the Lakers is, I think, their season would be that game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they can't, pull it out tomorrow, it's...
Do you buy into the zigzag theory at all in the NBA playoffs?
Yes and no. I don't know. It's
a little hokey, isn't it?
It is. I think it plays into, part, but when the matchups are so skewed, it's almost like... I think reality is just going to set in, know.
All right, Justin, I'm going to let you go, man. Enjoy your trip. I'm jealous, but I know you'll have a good time at Indian Creek. It's a great course, and it's beautiful up there. So go low, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll try our best. Thank you so much,
All right, big thanks to Justin Ballinger, the sportsbook manager here at Spirit Mountain Casino. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. He's going to move on now to Indian Creek. And that really is a great course. And I learned that from my buddy Rev, where he's like, hey, if it's raining down here, you can head up there, and a lot of times you'll catch a break with the weather where it's not pouring down rain or it's a little bit drier. And so I do like Indian Creek. It's nice. And did not play today. Appreciate you, Justin. And so I'm taking a day off, but looking forward to getting back out this weekend as I continue the adjustment to getting my body right for all the golfing. But the weather's been great, and I was looking at the extended forecast. I mean, you can't ask for much more than what we got right now. You look out ahead, the only day that shows like clear rain is Wednesday. But outside of that, it's like boom, boom, boom. So we're getting good weather here in May. A lot of good weather. So I'm looking out at the extended forecast right now. So it looks like that Wednesday the 13th, Friday the 15th, there is some rain in the forecast. But outside of that, the majority of days show dry weather. So I'm a big fan of that. Really big fan. All right, telephone number is 503-248-0620. Brendan Slaughter is with me. He just got back from his vacation down in Mexico, and we'll talk to him about that later in the show. I have not been to Mexico myself. I am not too familiar with Mexico, but I would like to go sometime and check it out. And we got people that listen that live down there. It sounds like it's about time for a nice little getaway. But I would imagine they got golf down there, too. But, yeah, I've never been to Mexico, so we'll get a take from Brendan on that. Your telephone number is 503-248-0620. I'll take your thoughts on anything. The big news here locally, Mike Schmitz, the brilliant assistant general manager for the Blazers, took a job with the Dallas Mavericks. He's going to be the general manager working under the genius Masai Ujiri. So a heck of a move by Dallas. And, like I told you, when you hire good people and they do a good job, other teams are going to want a piece of them. And so you just applaud and say, good for you, Mike. And when he moves on, I want to see him do well. I really like Mike Schmitz, one of the bright young minds in all of sports. We got the NBA playoffs going on. And then with the Trailblazers, we're just in a position where we're sitting back and waiting to see what happens with the coaching search. But the names that have popped out thus far are assistant names, so no big names with a great amount of experience. And so I think that would bode well for Tiago Splitter, because if you're looking at assistants with no experience and you're looking at Tiago Splitter where you have a year of evaluation knowing what he did with this team under great adversity, and the prices for those assistants or Tiago will relatively be the same, then I think that bodes well for Tiago Splitter. And, of course, with the reporting with Tom Dundon, the idea is that he's going to look to want to cut costs or save costs. I think it just matters for me that they find the right guy. So if they find a more experienced coach that they think is the right guy, then pay him, what is necessary to get the job done and get the hire. If you find a coach that you believe is the right one for you, whether it's Tiago Splitter or an assistant, then you're going to save money, but just hire the person not based on the number, but based on who you think is going to be best for the team. And if they do that, I'll be perfectly okay with that. I'll be happy with that. I won't be disappointed. I just want the right person for the job. 503-248-0620. And that's really what it comes down to. Just find good people. Just in the way that Joe Cronin was able to identify and hire Mike Schmitz, and he turned out to be great. Had an eye for Denny Avdia, was well aware of Tamani Kamara, two guys who were acquired, was part of drafting Scoot Shaden and Donovan Klingon, and did a lot of good work with Joe and helped to, rebuild the cupboard. So now the Blazers are not bare. They have assets to work with in the form of draft picks and contracts, and they can go out there and make it happen. So I think that's pretty sweet. And that's what I want to see. I want to see the Blazers be aggressive and hire good people so they can go out there and just take that next step. Because based on what they did this year with 6 games improvement, get through the play-in, get to the playoffs, I expect them to challenge for a top 6 spot in the West next year and to win more games. And they should with internal development and potential reshaping of the roster, through trades and free agency. There's no reason why they can't take that next step. I think that's important. All right, what'd you think about the Laker game last night? And more importantly, what do you think about the way that the series is being called? And are you frustrated with the Thunder for being all about the flopping and the theatrics? Well, after the game, J.J. Redick talked about LeBron and says that he has the worst whistle of any all-star, big-time player, star player in the NBA. Take a listen.
Along those lines, LeBron has, I think, taken 5 free throws here in 2 games. Have you seen him be attacking and downhill? And are you surprised he hasn't been able to get to the line more?
Well, he gets clobbered on that one. With Jalen Williams coming over trying to block the shot when he spun baseline on Dort. That was in that stretch as well. LeBron has the worst whistle of any star player I've ever seen. I've been with him 2 years now. There's again the smaller guys because they can be theatric. They typically draw more fouls, and the bigger players that are built like LeBron, it's hard for them. But he gets clobbered, and he got clobbered again tonight a bunch. And that's not like a new thing. That's not specific to this crew or this series. He gets fouled a lot. That doesn't happen. Guy gets hit on the head more than any player I've seen on drives, and it rarely gets called. So
along those lines, LeBron has, I think, taken 5 free throws here.
There's J.J. Redick sharing his thoughts. Now, I don't know about LeBron having the worst whistle of any star player in the league. I think Shaq was one of those classics who got hammered all of the time and didn't get all the whistles he should have. And I think a lot of times the big guys, because they're so big and powerful, they don't get the benefit of the doubt, or you don't see the damage that's being done because they're bigger guys and they can handle that type of contact. So, one, I don't feel bad for LeBron. As a star player, he also is someone who flops and buys into theatrics, like all the star players do. James Harden did it for years. LeBron's done it for years. And we're seeing it now with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Most of the high-level NBA players play the whole game of flopping and trying to get away with whatever they can. I just want it out of the league. Like I told you before, I just want my team to win. So if my team's benefiting from dumb officials that are being fooled, whatever. I can live with that. But it's not my brand of basketball. I don't like it, and I just want them to weed it out of the league. I don't know how you go about doing that. I would start by, having severe penalties for guys who flop. So if you fake being hit in the face, if you fall to the ground and no one touched you, any type of act that is clearly in an effort to try and fool the officials, that player should be ejected. If you start kicking guys out and dropping severe penalties on them for this type of soft play, I guarantee you'll start to weed some of the nonsense out. I don't like it. So that's the best way to do it, but the league won't take it seriously. They continue to foster this type of play. They allow star players to get away with it. And I think what's frustrating for Oklahoma City or teams that are playing them, Oklahoma City is by far the best team in the NBA. And no matter what the Lakers do in this series, they're not going to win. They don't stand a chance because they're not at the same level. Even if they had Luka 100% right now, they would be hard-pressed in this series against a team like Oklahoma City. That's how good they are on both ends. But the frustrating part is, and this is about being the aggressor and being as good as Oklahoma City, they're so deep and they're so talented. They mob you on the other end with their defense, and they play really physical basketball, and then they get away with everything on the other end. And so as an opponent, you get really frustrated because you don't know what to do. And then when you're playing defense, it's like even when I try to do it the right way and there's no contact, I get the whistle. So what happens is players get frustrated, players don't know what to expect, and then you start to lose control of the game, and tempers flare. And that's what happens when you're out there battling and trying to give everything you can and taking on an opponent like Oklahoma City, and the officials are continuing to just drop the whistle on you at every turn. At some point, guys are going to lose their cool, and you're going to have stuff go down on the floor. I guess the interesting part now is going to be moving forward with the Laker players surrounding the officials and pleading their case last night after game number 2. What's going to be the response in game 3 tomorrow in L.A.? I don't know if surrounding the officials is the best way to go about it, because now that everyone saw that, if we go into L.A. tomorrow and there's a big shift in how the game is called, or all of a sudden the Lakers are getting all of the whistles, then people are going to believe, or the refs are going to think that people will believe that that tactic worked and that they were intimidated by the Lakers, or whatever word you want to use. So I don't know if it's going to work or not. Because the officials are going to be very cautious of not wanting to look like the Lakers were able to talk them into getting more whistles. But it was one of the rare moments last night where I found myself feeling bad for the Lakers and LeBron, and I was kind of on their side. I'm like, dude, yeah, they're getting screwed here. But again, LeBron does the same thing. And Oklahoma City, to their credit, they are the aggressor, and they're very talented. They're the best team. And so they're going to get the benefit of the doubt in a lot of situations that other teams won't. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you're too good of a player, Shai, to carry on with those type of antics. Seriously. I mean, let's just be real. You're too good of a player. You don't need to do it, and yet he's going to continue to do it. But I can't imagine how frustrating it would be to play against a team like that who does that. Now, I'm not sure why he's whispering here, but Jay Williams, basketball analyst and former great college basketball player, he talked about the Thunder and basically summed them up perfectly. Take a listen. I mean, he really did a good job. But he did so in a very quiet tone.
The scary thing about Oklahoma City isn't just that they're great. It's that they're one of the most successful teams potentially to ever play the game that secretly people can't stand watching. Now look, their depth is endless. It's literally wave after wave. Perfect example, last evening. But the flopping, the foul baiting, the constant manipulation of angles and officiating at times feels less like basketball and more like a legal hustle at full speed. They may be the first historically dominant team in which the analytics love them more than the fans do. They beat the hell out of you physically. They exhaust you psychologically. And literally every possession feels like a negotiation with the refs. That's who OKC is in a nutshell.
My goodness. He's right. I'm not going to disagree with that. I don't know why he was whispering. Was he doing it late at night when the family was asleep? He's being very deliberate in the way he was explaining that, but that's really what it is. They're so good and so talented. They can hit you in many ways. No team in the league is deeper, and yet you also have to deal with the theatrics. So you're playing multiple games out there when you're playing Oklahoma City. But again, this is on the league. They're the ones that allow this to continue. They're the ones that have to get a handle on this. And the problem is I don't trust Adam Silver to do it because there's not a commissioner in sport that's softer on the players than what this guy is. That's all. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. 503-248-0620. I appreciate your time. Hope you're enjoying your Friday. And if you want to jump on board and share your thoughts, you can do so. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, 503-248-0620, Rip City Drive. I'm live at Spirit Mountain Casino. Let's go out to the phones. Let's start in Southeast. Jerry's out there, wants to chime in. Jerry, I appreciate the call. You're up on the Rip City Drive. What's on your mind?
Hey, Chad. Real quick, I just want to make a quick comment about Draymond, and then I want to ask your input on something on the coaching part of it. But, Draymond, we both agreed that he's like a very smart basketball IQ, great defensive play, especially the game we watch. But he might be one of these guys that has to get, part of his shtick is to get himself ginned up to then play at a peak, both mentally and, emotionally, I guess. But that works great on basketball, but it does not work to be a turd to people who say all these nice things about you, actually, that are doing some maybe a little constructive criticism. But you were spot on in your comment on that, because, that way that he gets himself fired up is just not going to work at all with trying to be in the public arena in a different role, like broadcasting or whatever. So with the new stuff coming in, we had Cronin and Schmitz, and then at that time Chauncey was around too, and then they did a really good job putting together this roster. So my question is, do you think that they'll actually get a new coach in place or make the decision soon enough? Because you don't kind of want to have the coach involved to, not just, hey, here's all these giant moves we made, now you put it together. Wouldn't you kind of want to have the coach involved in some of those decisions and get his, so you have a collective brain trust on who you're going to be coaching and how that's going to all work?
Hey, Jerry, I appreciate the phone call. Thank you so much. And, and good questions, too. Starting out with the Blazers, there's no timetable that's been set for when they want to have their coach hired by, and that's fine because they're not pressed. They don't have any picks in the upcoming draft, which will be in June, so they don't have to have a guy in place right now. But I agree with your assessment, Jerry. Yes, whoever they decide to hire, if it's Tiago Splitter or somebody else, you want to have that person on board as soon as you possibly can after you go through your wide net and go through your search, because you want them to be a part of the roster building. You want the coach's input on players and who he thinks would be a good mix with what they have and what you want to add to that. So I do think that you want the head coach involved on some level. So the sooner they get the coach identified and make the hire, the better the team is going to be, especially as they get ready to end the month of June and enter into free agency, where the trades and other maneuvers could be made where you're adding to the roster or you're trading players out and bringing other guys in. So I do think you want to have that person in place, and you definitely want to have the new coach, whoever that guy may be, Tiago Splitter or somebody else, to be a part of the planning when it comes to piecing the roster together. Now with Draymond Green, I'm a big fan of Draymond. I think he's a tremendous basketball player. I think he's really smart. He's one of those high IQ basketball guys, so when he's on the floor, he's usually going to be in the right spot and make the right play. He reminds me, and I think Jerry made a good point, I think Draymond feeds off of the crowd, the energy, the stage. I think he looks at it a lot like Dennis Rodman did, where it's like, hey, we're out here to entertain. And so he's going to mix it up a little bit. He's going to cross the line a few times, and he's going to play with a lot of emotion. And I think the Warriors have been okay with that for years, because they know that if he's playing with emotion and he's impacting the game in a positive way, that we're going to deal with the occasional slip-up with, kicking someone in the ta-da-ta-das or going out of bounds and, yelling at a teammate or yelling at a coach. Like, they'll deal with some of the antics because they know when he's emotional and he's impacting the game that he's going to help them win. Now, there's times where it can cost you. Getting kicked out of a game for kicking LeBron in the bag in the NBA Finals and not being available to your team, that's very damaging. But for the most part, you're going to deal with the antics because you want him to play with that emotion and be at his best. I just didn't like the personal attack on Austin Reeves, or excuse me, not Austin Reeves, but Austin Rivers. I didn't like the personal attack because Austin was only responding to a question from Dan Patrick, and it was off the comments that Draymond had made where he said that Steve Kerr had hindered his career. And I, like Dan Patrick or Austin Rivers or many others, thought those comments were ridiculous. I think Steve Kerr not only help Draymond Green, but help propel him into the player that he is, which is eventually going to become a Hall of Famer, because of his success on a team that won multiple championships. And he was a key part of that with his defense, his facilitation. He did a lot of good things. He's a very good basketball player. So I didn't like the personal attack on Austin because Austin was just making very good, sound, sharing his basketball thoughts, giving his opinions. He wasn't attacking Draymond or criticizing him. He was just saying, hey, here's why Steve Kerr has only helped him based on these reasons. And he gave it. And Draymond chose to take the personal attack. And same thing with the inside the NBA. Draymond took a personal shot at Charles. Now, Charles is not someone who's easily offended, but Charles was just simply stating fact that, the Warriors' run is over. And it's true, their run is over. They're not a dynasty anymore. And those two guys are aging, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. And as those teams get older and start to age, their production and their play starts to drop. It's happened with everybody. All great dynasties come to an end. And Draymond chose to take a personal shot at Charles. For Draymond to be a great TV personality, and he's certainly got the tools to be able to do that, he's just going to have to learn to be able to laugh at himself. Self-deprecating, laugh at himself, be able to laugh at jokes, and not take himself so seriously. And maybe as he gets further removed from the game, he'll be able to do that. Charles is great at television. He was great at basketball, one of the best power forwards of all time. Charles was great at TV, and he has been for an extended period of time because he makes us laugh, he doesn't take himself seriously, and he's self-deprecating. He's got all the key elements that you need to be a great TV personality. He makes me laugh. Most of the time, I disagree with Charles, but I watch him and enjoy him, and I'm entertained by Charles Barkley. I think he's great. He and Shaq together, when he gets Shaq laughing, when he's saying ridiculous things, it's one of my favorite things because it makes me laugh too. But Draymond's just going to have to learn to loosen up a little bit, not take himself so seriously, and be able to laugh at himself. And if he can do that, he's got the talent to be a great television basketball analyst and personality. I have no doubts in that whatsoever. But you can't sit there and tell me that Steve Kerr hindered your career. That's ridiculous. Steve Kerr identified him young in his career, made him a starter, convinced Andre Iguodala to come off the bench, and then Steve Kerr has been very patient with Draymond when he has those bouts of rage or he gets out of control or does something on the court he shouldn't or says something crazy. Steve Kerr has been there to embrace him, support him, and continue to guide him and put up with a lot throughout the course of time that they've been together. So I think Steve Kerr has not only not hindered him, but I think he's made him a Hall of Fame basketball player. And Steve Kerr, like a lot of these coaches now in the NBA, if you want to be great, part of that is being able to manage egos. And Steve Kerr has been able to deal with a lot of big-time egos. Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and finding those guys enough minutes and enough shots to where you can keep them together so they can go out there and compete and win championships. All right, 503-248-0620. If you're on hold, stay there. I'll get to your phone calls next. Great job by Jerry. Great points. But I do like Draymond. I like guys that want to go out and perform, and they bring some of the antics. I enjoy all that stuff. Now, I don't want antics when guys are flopping around and acting foolish, like the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's too much. Chet Holmgren went down like he had been socked in the face last night, and no one touched his face. I forgot who said it, but it's almost like Oklahoma City, the Thunder, that they all have like a personal acting coach because they're all really good at it. And yet they'll hammer you on the other end with their defense. So they're getting away with bloody murder on both ends. They use their physicality and their depth to kill you with their defense, and then they flop around and fake and do their acting job on the other end, and you get a bunch of foul calls on you. It's just a different game now. Back in the old days, the enforcer would have put a forearm shiver on someone to stop the nonsense. But the NBA does not want guys fighting now, so they've got to figure out a way to clean it up themselves. I would just give those guys, if you're flopping and faking it, and you're trying to pull one over on the officials, I would have severe penalties for those guys. The funny thing is LeBron complaining about the officiating when he, too, like Shea, has been a major violator of the flopping. And there's plenty of videos and pictures of him doing that. It's absurd. But the reason why they do it is because they've been getting away with it for years, and the officials are easily fooled, and they're able to get a lot of foul shots out of it. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Rip City Drive, I'm live from Spirit Mountain Casino, getting ready for the Fortune Frenzy Cube with drawings tonight at 6, 7, and 8, hanging out in the BetMGM Sportsbook. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Hey, what's going on? It's now 4 o'clock chat here. NBA playoffs continue. Game 3, Knicks and Sixers is about to tip off. New York with a 2-0 series lead. We're still waiting on the status of Joel Embiid. OG Anunoby will miss the game tonight. Philly's now a 3.5-point favorite. The Knicks won both games 1 and 2 at Madison Square Garden at 6:30. Timberwolves will host the Spurs game 3 at Target Center. San Antonio's favored by 5. That series all tied up at 1 game apiece. And both games tonight on Prime Video. Lakers, Thunder, and Cavs, Pistons both play Game 3s tomorrow in Cleveland and L.A. From the NFL, the Jets have made Breece Hall the highest-paid running back in the NFL with a 3-year, $45 million extension. And the college football coaches, led by the American Football Coaches Association, are advocating for a larger playoff format of potentially 24 teams. More of the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing coming at you right now. All right, Michael Scotto, who is with Hoops Hype, has put out a report. Sources: the Trailblazers interviewed Jared Dudley for their head coaching position. Dudley is the lead assistant coach for the Nuggets. He was also an assistant coach for the Mavericks. He spent 14 NBA seasons with the Bobcats, Suns, Clippers, and Bucks, Wizards, Nets, and Lakers. So the Blazers so far have been reaching out to assistant coaches. And, of course, Tiago Splitter is part of the mix for the head coaching job as the Blazers continue their wide search. Your telephone number is 503-248-0620. Let's go out and talk with Pat. He is in Portland and wants to share his thoughts. Pat, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Chad. I have to admit that I'm getting very concerned about this new ownership. I'm really starting to feel like I don't trust the new owner. I mean, some of his budget cuts, and now he let Schmitz go, and I think Schmitz is an excellent part of the team, part of the management with Joe, and I think he showed that he did some great things. Unless he wanted to go and he saw the handwriting on the wall and he just said, I don't want to be a part of this in the future. I don't know, but I know it's a major loss for us as a team, and his ability to pick good players. And that leads me to my second question. Do you think there's anybody in this draft that would be have the ability to enhance us and make us be a better team in the future if we were willing to trade somebody to get into the draft to pick somebody? Do you know anybody that's there that would really be an asset to us?
All right, I appreciate the phone call, Pat. Let me expand on your thoughts. First off, with the Trailblazers and Mike Schmitz now being the general manager with the Dallas Mavericks. From my understanding and the people I talked to today, it's not that the Trailblazers didn't want to keep Mike Schmitz. He's a bright mind and very valuable to the Trailblazers front office. But Joe Cronin is the general manager. And in sports, when you're working for a team and then you're offered a promotion elsewhere, there's no way that Mike Schmitz could be the general manager here in Portland because Joe Cronin has the position. So for his career and what he wants to do, the right move is to take that job. You've got a chance to go to Dallas. You'll work with another bright mind in Masai Ujiri, and now you have more autonomy to be able to make decisions and construct a roster and shape the team in your image and the way you want to do things. It's a great opportunity and a definite promotion for Mike Schmitz. So outside of offering him more money, even if the Blazers offered him more money so he would stay on board, it's still not a better opportunity in Portland when another team is offering you a general manager spot. And, it's unfortunate. He and Joe Cronin have a very good relationship, a great chemistry. There's great synergy with Schmitz and Cronin and the rest of the people in that front office. And so it is a tough loss because he's so good and such a bright mind and one of the rising stars in the executive game in all of sports. There's no question about it. But you simply have to take that job. And since Joe Cronin is the general manager here in Portland, he's got a chance to be a general manager in Dallas. You got to take that job. And basically anybody would have done that. So I think it's just a matter of a great opportunity. Great for Mike Schmitz. He's got to take the job. It's a no-brainer. And so he takes the job. Now, with the reporting and the cost-cutting, look, all I can tell you is that, as I've told you before, all I care about when it comes to an owner of a team that I am a fan of, and let's take the Trailblazers, for example. The most important thing to me is two things. One, does the owner want to win? Like win. Truly win, meaning sacrifice and spend and do whatever is necessary to put your team in a position to win games and hopefully eventually get over the hump and win a championship. That's the number one question. Do you want to win? Paul Allen wanted to win and was willing to do whatever it took. Based on what we know about Tom Dundon and his work with the Carolina Hurricanes, I believe that he wants to win and will do whatever is necessary to make that happen. And with that, looking to cut costs or save money in some areas, I don't have an issue with. As long as you're going to continue to pay your players and the coaches and the people around them whatever is necessary to get the job done and to win. And so we have yet to see any major decisions yet that would indicate that he's not willing to do that. It's only been reporting. So let's wait and see who is hired. Let's wait and see who is added to the staff. Let's wait and see if Mike Schmitz is replaced before we draw any conclusions off of, what Tom Dundon's willing to do or not do. When it comes to the business side and looking for different ways to cut unnecessary costs, I think that's just good business. I don't have a problem with that. Now, I've mentioned before that I have a personal interest in radio. I'm a broadcaster. I love games on radio. I grew up with it. It's important to me. I'm not a fan of the idea of using a television simulcast over the radio, but obviously not, because it directly impacts me and what I do. And I want the radio product to be as good as it possibly can be. So I'm not a fan of, using a TV simulcast, instead of having a radio team and a radio broadcast. But that could be one area where he's looking to cut costs. But as a fan, his decision on using a simulcast or not does not impact the team's ability to win games. Meaning, if he's willing to pay for players, if he's willing to be aggressive, and if he's willing to hire whoever's necessary to help the team win games, that's really, as a fan, that's all I care about. The business side of things, because of my personal interests or my work interests, that's different than being a fan of a team and wanting to see that team be the best they can be and be in a position to win games. Now, in regard to the draft, there are a number of players. It's probably 5 or 6 deep of difference makers, guys who could come in and start right away. So there are players, Pat, that could make a difference on this Trailblazers team. There's no question about it. The problem is the Blazers are not going to offer up or have a package that another team would be willing to share one of those draft picks with. Meaning the teams that are at the top of the draft, they're there for a reason because they wanted to be. So whether Utah or Brooklyn or Indiana or Memphis or any of the teams at the top, Washington, they want access to those players because they want a chance to be able to build their team, from the ground up and be young and have those players on rookie contracts. So the Blazers this year, if they want to buy in and get into the second round, that's a possibility. But I just don't think that there's any type of package they could put together where the teams at the top of the draft, where you would have access to players who could come in and be an immediate difference maker. I just don't think the Blazers are going to be able to put together a package that would be appealing enough to be able to get back into the draft. So really it's a non-factor. The Trailblazers, it's not too often, but this year the draft is not going to be where they're going to make their hay. And that's okay because they've drafted a number of young players and have a young roster. Tamani Kamara, young player that they acquired in trade involving Dame. Denny Avdia, young player that they acquired in a trade a couple of years ago on draft night. And then they drafted Donovan Clingan, Scoot Henderson, and Shaden Sharp. So the young core is in place. I think the key now for the Blazers is, can they utilize some of the assets that they have through picks and some of the veteran contracts and be able to consolidate and go out and do some big game hunting, whether it be Giannis or somebody else. That's going to be the big question, and how aggressive Tom Dundon wants to get. My guess would be that Tom Dundon wants to be real aggressive and try and bring in a big name and really start things off on fire here in Portland as a new owner. But again, it's tough to get those type of deals done. And if other teams are involved, how high is the price before you can pull off a deal to bring in a guy like Giannis? I mean, that's a very valid question. Tip-off between the Sixers and Knicks is about to take place. So I believe Embiid is going to give it a go. OG Anunoby's not going to play with the hamstring. And Philadelphia went from open as a 2-point dog, and now they're favored anywhere from 3.5 to 4 points. So my thought is on Philly and New York tonight. Are the Sixers going to have enough in the tank come fourth quarter to be able to execute and play the way that they need to be able to beat a hot team in the Knicks, who ever since ultimately, Game 3 of that series in the first round against the Hawks have just been on fire. They're hitting their shots. Multiple guys are contributing, and Jalen Brunson's leading the charge. But the absence of Anunoby is an issue, and they would be wise to make sure that Anunoby gets as much rest as possible, because if they advance, they're going to need Anunoby to be able to get to the NBA Finals. And this is an important game for the Knicks tonight because they've got Philly on the ropes, and we've all seen these playoff series where if you give a little bit of life, a sliver of hope to a team, they might be able to scratch their way back in. So I would be very leery if I'm New York. I think they've got them on the ropes right now. If they can punch them in the mouth tonight and go up 3-0, it would be valuable for the Knicks to be able to get that extra rest before the Eastern Conference Finals and allow OG Anunoby to mend a little bit. And according to Shams, he avoided serious injury, so that's good news for him. But they're really going to have to take a look at things to make sure that they're healthy moving forward. So an opportunity for Philly tonight. If they can get the win tonight, they can scratch their way back in the series. But again, will they have enough? And the Knicks right now in a good groove and playing really good basketball. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Good question so far. I appreciate your input. The big headlines today, Breece Hall now the highest paid running back in the NFL. Too bad he plays for the Jets, a disaster of a franchise. Mike Schmitz, the young rising star in sports, assistant general manager for the Trailblazers, has left, and he's going to take the general manager role for the Dallas Mavericks, working with Masai Ujiri. We got 2 NBA playoff games tonight, Sixers, Knicks, and followed by the second game tonight, which will be Minnesota and San Antonio. That series is tied up at 1, and then we'll have 2 Game 3s tomorrow with the Cavs, Pistons, Lakers, and Thunder. And then, of course, you've got all the big talk around the Oklahoma City-LA series with the flopping and the officiating, and we'll see what type of impact that has on, Game 3 tomorrow back in LA. But I wonder, with that meeting of the minds, they had a little summit on the floor last night before they left, Lakers surrounding the refs, pleading their case. I don't know if that's going to have an impact at all on the game tomorrow. And the Thunder are so good, and really what this comes down to is the series is just a major mismatch. The Thunder are just a superior team, and that's not a knock on the Lakers. It's just fact. I mean, they would be hard-pressed with Luka to have a chance to win the series, let alone without him. And if they're going to win a game and get back in the series, they're going to need other guys to step up and hit shots. They're going to need LeBron and Austin Reeves to play really well, but they'll need others, whether it's Kennard or Hachimura, other guys to step up and make shots. And they need something from DeAndre Ayton. I mean, he was basically a no-show last night, and they're being really physical with him. Ayton's got to respond and have a big night if the Lakers are going to get on the board in this series. All right, we'll keep things rolling. I'm live from Spirit Mountain Casino inside of the BetMGM Sportsbook. I hope you're enjoying your Friday. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, the College Football Coaches Association has recommended an expansion of the college football playoff up to as much as 24 teams. And I know there are a lot of people complaining about college football playoff expansion with the idea of 24 teams, saying it would be too much. But I got to be honest with you, I actually like the idea. And the reason why I say that initially is because a lot of the same people who are trying to tell us that college football playoff expansion is bad and that going to 24 teams would be too much, a lot of the people are the same ones who told us for years that the BCS system was good. And, of course, it wasn't. And for years before the BCS national championship game, we didn't have a real system in place to be able to get a legitimate national title game because there were so many teams that were tied into certain bowls, and therefore you couldn't get the real matchups that we all wanted to see. And that's why Miami and Washington played in separate bowl games against different opponents back in 91. The two best teams in the country had no way of playing each other because of conference tie-ins with certain bowl games. Miami in the orange and Washington in the rose. And so I hated that system. And the BCS system was a move in the right direction, but again, people complained about that system because it was heavily reliant upon the computers and the stats and the numbers, and people complained, and of course there were only two teams that got into the national title game. And then we moved to a 4-team playoff, which was great because, again, it was a step in the right direction, but it was pretty clear early on that 4 teams was not going to be enough and you would need to expand. And so they've slowly done that. But the reason why I think 24 teams actually might be a good thing is that, number one, the playoff so far has been great. I've loved every single moment of the playoff action. I love the matchups. I love that it's decided on the field. And I love that we're getting campus site games in the postseason. It's been fabulous. We also have had a chance to see some great teams go head-to-head. And I like the playoff format. Now, we've seen some mismatches, but that's going to happen every year in every postseason format. But I think 24 games would work because right now we're in a situation where we get a lot of bowl games that are basically meaningless. And with the transfer portal and, of course, players preparing for the draft, a lot of the top players just opt out of bowl games because in the end they don't mean anything. But if you add and expand out to 24 teams in the playoff, you'll have more player participation, more postseason games, and we're going to get more campus site games. Now, the reason why the Coaches Association is advocating for a 24-team playoff, if I had to guess, is because it creates more job security. Meaning, if you have a season where you lose 2 or 3 games, but you're able to make the playoff and become a part of the postseason, you're probably going to have guys save their jobs. Where if you have a 12-team format and you have a team that's sitting there with 3 losses and they miss the playoff, that coach could be potentially on the firing block. You know, where you didn't reach the playoff, the expectation was playoff, you don't reach it, and you get fired because of it. So there's no doubt that having more access to the playoff and creating more opportunity for these teams would definitely create more job security, but I think in the end it's all a win. What I've noticed so far with the playoff expansion, with more teams being involved, is that instead of weakening or watering down the regular season, in my mind it's made it much more interesting. And that's because you have more teams, more fan bases across the entire country that have access to the playoff, where in the past they would have never had access in a 14 playoff. But now you've got all these other teams that have a chance to get into the postseason. And I like that. And so what it does is it creates compelling games throughout the course of the entire year. So it has not watered down the action. It's made it better. And I like that. And I want to see more of that type of play in the future. So I'm not so certain it would water down the regular season. I think the games and the rivalries would still mean a lot. You could get rid of the conference title games, but you'd have more teams with more of a chance to get into the playoff, and that creates excitement amongst the fan bases. And if you get some of these teams into the playoff, it just creates more interest throughout the year. So I like that. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. The problem is that with the 24-team playoff, you're going to have teams in that aren't legitimate contenders, and therefore you will get some mismatches, and that's going to be a problem because you're going to get 3 and 4 lost teams in if you go to 24 teams. And that's just reality, right? I mean, that's just the way it's going to go. You'll get teams in there that don't necessarily belong in there. Let's see here. Let's take a look at the standings from last year. I mean, if you take a look at the college football rankings, or at least the final rankings, I mean, Indiana was number 1, but at the bottom of the top 25, USC 9-4, Michigan at 9-4, Houston at 10-3. I mean, you'll get a number of those teams into the playoff that, would not have been playoff teams before. Vandy was 10-3. Virginia at 11-3, Iowa 17th. They were 9-4. So you'll get a lot of those 10-3, 9-4 teams in. But I'm okay with it. And again, I've just learned that when it comes to college football, just because the narrative is one way doesn't mean that the guys who are selling it to you have your best interest at heart. It took us a long time to get to a situation where we had a playoff, a legitimate college football playoff, and it was prevented because guys, in the end, were trying to find a way to make money off of ball games. That's really what it comes down to. And I think that's the other thing, too, is now that they've seen the playoff, they know by expanding it, where you get more teams involved, that you're going to have a bigger chance to make money. So I'm okay with it. If they want to go to 24 teams, I'm okay with that. I thought 16 would be the perfect number, but if they go to 24, it's okay. Now, it's a little bit different with the college basketball tournament with March Madness because they're expanding the field, but all of those games will be the play-in type games that come before the field of 64. So you expand it out, you get more teams into that play-in scenario, and then you still got your field of 64. And I think that's important. Keep that number the same. Keep the brackets the same as they've always been. Have more teams that can be a part of the play-in so you expand that field out. I'm okay with that too because you're going to keep the format with the field of 64 and the bracket the same. But with college football, going to 24 teams, I'm okay with it. So I think all the uproar and frustration about it, I think it's crazy. Having more teams that have access to the playoff will create more interest throughout the course of the year and create bigger games because you're going to have more teams from a variety of different conferences that are playing for something that is worthwhile. And right now, first quarter, 4 minutes to go, Sixers on top of the Knicks, 23-15 in game number 3. And early on, the Sixers playing with a lot of emotion. Joel Embiid is on the floor, and so the Sixers early on look like their game with now a 10-point lead. So we'll watch as the game, progresses on if they're able to keep up that type of energy and that type of pace, and if Joel Embiid's going to be able to be effective throughout the course of the entire game. It's no different than any sport. The healthiest teams at the end of the year are the ones that typically will make the best run at a title, and OG Anunoby is critical to the Knicks' attack. So rest him as much as you can to be able to get him back on the floor because you're going to need him moving forward. And that's really what it's all about. Same thing with Minnesota. Like that, it's so amazing what they've been able to do. No Dante DiVincenzo. Anthony Edwards not at 100%, but they're out there battling and trying to find different ways to get over and get the job done. Showcasing a little bit of depth. Desumu's been in and out. They've been able to find some other unlikely characters that have stepped up. So it's been fun to watch. Now, Sean of Damascus chimed in. He said, OKC looked like a cat playing with a mouse last night. And that's really what it's all about. I mean, in this series with the Lakers, like the complaining about the officiating, I think it's legitimate because of how much we see from Oklahoma City with the theatrics and baiting the officials into foul calls. But with or without those calls, the Thunder are still going to win the series. It's a total mismatch. Where this is going to become more of an issue is when you get into a Western Conference final, if you've got Oklahoma City and San Antonio, where someone is providing more resistance and a better challenge to the Thunder, or if you get into the NBA Finals with the Knicks. Like, if you get to bigger games and bigger moments where the competition is a little more even, that's where the officiating and the foul baiting could become a bigger problem for the NBA. I mean, ultimately, where it becomes very clear and obvious what the Thunder are doing out there, but not so much in a series where they're clearly the better basketball team. And the Lakers, there's not much they can do. You can complain about the officiating, but until they find guys to step up and knock down shots, not named LeBron and Austin Reeves, or if you can get something, an ounce of anything out of DeAndre Ayton or Luke Kennard or anybody else, they're just going to get steamrolled by the Thunder. The Thunder are too deep, too talented, and too good. And I guess the big shame for them, Oklahoma City, much like Portland, is a small market in the NBA. And they should be celebrated for the way that they've been able to construct that roster. Sam Presti, their general manager, has made some shrewd moves, including trading Paul George to the Clippers, and got a haul of a return. And with that, he's been able to supply his team with enough draft picks They can go out and get whoever they want. And they've built an incredible team. Not only have they done a good job of amassing draft picks, but they also make good decisions in the draft. And we look at their roster now, they've been dominant. But the problem is that's a good thing, right? Small market team, building through the draft, making good decisions, and winning a championship. And now on their way to back-to-back titles. That should be celebrated. But the problem is because of their theatrics and the way that they bait the officials, all we're talking about is the way that they flop. But it is pretty ironic to have LeBron in the middle of all that complaining about the officiating when he, too, is no different than Shea. But I'm going to be honest with you because I don't want to be like the old man yelling at the clouds. This kind of stuff is not new to the NBA. Guys were flopping and baiting officials back when I was growing up, too. Bird, Magic, Michael, all the great players did it. And they all got the benefit of the doubt and got a bunch of whistles. You know, I saw Bird go to the line a lot of times where he probably didn't deserve to go to the line, but he got the benefit of the doubt from the officials. They didn't have replays back then, but that kind of stuff went on back then as well. Guys were flopping. Guys were putting on the theatrics. This is nothing new. I mean, it's been going on. I would just like to see the NBA get it under control. And I would start having harsh penalties for guys who flop, guys who fake, guys who try to bait the officials. I would have strict penalties on that type of behavior because it's pathetic. And I would try to weed it out. I would also try to get back to some basics when it comes to the general rules of basketball. Try and get a handle on the traveling, you know, with the Euro step and the way guys are able to get away with a lot now. I would just try to tighten things back up. So, strict penalties for the floppers to try and weed that out of the game. And then getting back to calling some of the basic rules so guys don't take advantage of it and travel all the time. You know, I just would like to see it be a little bit of a cleaner game. But the reason why the flopping and the baiting continues is because guys get away with it. And the league won't step in to try and drop the hammer. They should review all that nonsense. And if guys are proven to have flopped or baited the official, if you have strict penalties in place for that, it'll change some of the behavior out there. But the league hasn't done that. They continue to reward guys because every time they flop and put on the theatrics, they get to the foul line. And when you reward bad behavior, what do you get? More bad behavior. That's like parenting 101. If you allow it to continue and there's no repercussions, then the bad behavior is going to continue. And so it's the league's fault. You know, Commissioner Silver's got to get a handle on that stuff. But this is why players get so ticked off. The inconsistency night to night, guys not knowing what to expect from the officials, you know, star players getting excessive treatment. You know, when you have that type of system in place, you have situations like we saw last night where tempers flare, guys get ticked off, guys are mouthing off to the official, and that's because of the wild inconsistency. It's absolutely crazy. And it's too bad. I wish the Lakers were healthy and had Luka because I'd like to see a more competitive series. But that's just not the case. Right now, 3 minutes to go first quarter. Sixers on top of the Knicks, 27-18. I hope the Sixers win here. I want some of these series to be extended. And I think for the Timberwolves tonight, if they're going to have a chance to win this series, they got to win Game 3 tonight and crank up the pressure. I want to see how the Spurs would respond in a Game 4, trailing 2-1 in the series, how they would respond in that situation as a young team that's learning how to win in the postseason. But we could be looking at a Timberwolves or a Spurs Thunder Western final, which would be great, and Pistons Knicks in the East would be terrific as well. Like, those would be two good conference finals. All right, 503-248-0620. Let's bring in my man Brendan, who is back at work. He is coming off a trip to Mexico. Now, Brendan, is this your first trip? Had you ever been to Mexico before this time? Which part of Mexico were you in? All right. So of the two places, which would you recommend, Cabo or Cancun? No, it's okay. I'm glad you had a chance to go. Did you stay at an all-inclusive resort, or what's the setup like? Now, do you have access to food and beverage all day as much as you want? That's pretty awesome. What type of food? Is it Mexican food, or they have all sorts? Okay, that's pretty sweet. And the weather, I would imagine, was perfect the whole time. Gosh, that's awesome. All right, good. Well, I'm glad you had a good time, and thanks for the breakdown there. I will get down there at some point, but I haven't yet, so that's pretty awesome. All-inclusive resort. My man Brendan is refreshed and back at work, and but that's one place I haven't gone. I've traveled quite a bit, and I've had a chance to go to some really cool places, but I have yet to go to Mexico. I wanted to go to the Cancun trip for my senior year in high school, but my mom shut that down pretty quick. She's like, no, I don't think that's necessary. All right, so this is very interesting. The Sixers came out and jumped on top of the Knicks early to start the first quarter with all the emotion of being at home, and the Knicks were able to survive that initial wave, and now they're holding for the final shot. They trail by just 6, so a good job by the Knicks of being able to control some of that initial wave by the Sixers. And Mikal Bridges just scored, so it's a 4-point game. So that could potentially be a tough sign for the Sixers as they come out and play great basketball in the first quarter, but yet find themselves only up by 4. And that's going to be the challenge. And now, 1 quarter in, you got a 4-point lead. Are they going to be able to continue to push it up and down the floor with some of the injuries and the fatigue? Because they ran out of gas in game number 2. It's going to be critical for them to conserve that and be able to hold on if they're going to get the win tonight. Telephone number is 503-248-0620. Hope you're enjoying your Friday. I'm inside of the BetMGM Sportsbook at Spirit Mountain Casino. You can reach out to me, 503-248-0620. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, just got a text message from the 503. How's your Friday going? Do not forget that Mother's Day is on Sunday. That's a very good reminder, and I will pass that along to each and every one of you. Sunday is Mother's Day, so make sure you don't screw that up. That's a day you don't want to forget. And as I've gotten older, my respect for moms and the work that they do, the sacrifices that they make, you don't notice it when you're younger, but as you get older, you realize, like, man, moms really are phenomenal with all the different work that they do. So don't forget, Sunday is Mother's Day. Yeah, Brendan just sent me a picture from his trip to Cancun, Mexico, and he's right. The water down there is perfect. Blue and spectacular. Very nice. I haven't been. I would like to go sometime. I'm basically a fan of anywhere where there's blue skies, tropical weather, and warm temperatures. That's what I love most about Hawaii, is just being able to walk around at 2 or 3 in the morning and lie down and take a nap by the pool, and it's perfectly warm outside. It's so nice. So nice. All right, the Knicks have now come back to tie the game at 33 after trailing early by double digits. That's how quick it is. And that's going to be the big question. Will the Sixers have enough? Man, the Knicks are playing good basketball right now. I got to give major props to what they've been able to do after a slow start to that series against the Hawks in the first round. Yeah, Brendan just reached out to me again, said, really nice golf course I passed by near the airport, too. You'd be in heaven. I'm all about that. I'll play anywhere. You know, Justin Ballinger's going to go hit Indian Creek up at Hood River tomorrow. That's a good place. Forest Hills Golf Course is amazing. If you haven't been out to Forest Hills in a bit, you got to go out there and check it out. Marcus and his team have done sensational work on the course. They've reinvested in the course. And so the entire setup, probably my favorite additions in terms of what he's been doing over the last few years. Hole number 1, they've flattened out the green a little bit. So now if you're above the pin on hole 1, you're not completely screwed, which is nice. I really like the par 4 number 16, a true dual fairway, so you can go right or left of the big tree in the middle of the fairway. It runs down to the water, and then you hit up with your approach shot to the green on an elevated green that's now been expanded. So the green now is expanded, and it's beautiful. And then on the hole after that, on the par 3 number 17, they have restructured the green, so it's a 2-tier green now, which is cool. And then they have bunkers protecting the front edge of the green on both sides, and it's a beautiful setup now. The whole thing is really nice. So I would encourage you to go check out Forest Hills. I played Heron Lakes a few times this week, and I would say in all the time I've been playing Heron, and of course that's where my dad taught me how to play when I was younger, I've never seen the course at Heron Lakes in better shape than what it is right now. The greens especially, because now when you're on a green, they're all rolling so true that you know what to expect when you're putting. But they're doing a fabulous job out there with the crew that they have. So we're now in the beginning of beauty when it comes to the golf season. There's so many great options to be able to get out and play. All right, so we got a good battle going on. 3-point game, Knicks on top, 38-35. Sixers and Knicks, game 3 in Philadelphia. Minnesota and San Antonio coming up at 6:30. I really, really like what Minnesota has done so far in the series, and we'll see if they have enough. I don't know if they're going to have enough on offense, but I'm hoping that they can provide that challenge. They need to get this game tonight, and then they can really start to take charge in the series. I'm pulling for Minnesota to pull the upset. I don't know if they have enough material, but they sure are a tough basketball team. And they don't, let's just say that they take a different approach than what we see from Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City with the theatrics is a little bit too soft for my liking. I still acknowledge that Oklahoma City is awesome, and they are, but they do crank up the foul baiting too much. But Minnesota doesn't do that. They're not a soft basketball team. They just want to go out there and punch you in the mouth. They'll challenge you defensively. They'll talk junk in the process, and I like that mindset. I like their mentality. I like the way that they play together, and we're seeing that now with a few teams. The Knicks, a very close, tight-knit group that plays very well together. We're seeing that with Minnesota, which is terrific. So I like to see that. And Oklahoma City's great. Their execution, their depth, and the way they play on both ends. I mean, they're one of the tops on offense. They're one of the tops on defense. Like, they're a great team. But, do you really need to stoop to that level to bait the official on every possession? Is that necessary? It's not necessary. You're too good. You're too good for that. But the Lakers, they have no answers. They have no answers for the officials. They have no answer for the Thunder's depth. Like, they just can't compete in that series. And they've actually done a good job defensively on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander through the first couple of games. But that's what makes the Thunder so great, is that even on nights where Shai doesn't have his best stuff, they have multiple guys in the lineup who can step up and knock down shots. Even Caruso was talking junk during some of the foul shots last night. So they're getting pretty lippy out there. That could get kind of interesting tomorrow in Game 3, especially early in the game if the officiating is not going the Lakers' way, or if it's not tilted a little bit more in the Lakers' favor. You're going to see some tempers flare. Just something to keep an eye on. And I'm all about that. I do like some of the drama. I love guys complaining. I love the officials holding a summit after the game on the floor with the officials, even though I don't think it's going to work. Like the NBA does provide a little bit of drama, which is fun. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Whatever you want to talk about is fine by me. I'm okay with the playoff field if it expands to 24 in college football. I think that would be good for the game. I don't trust any of the old guys who tried to sell me in the old system for years, telling me that was what was best for college football. So the more people complain about changes and expansion, the more I think it's a good idea. I think it will make the games better during the regular season because more teams, more fan bases will have access to the playoff, and I think in the end that's a very good thing. So give me expansion. Mike Schmitz is on his way to Dallas, a tremendous loss for the Trailblazers. He was one of the bright minds in that front office. Had great synergy with Joe Cronin. I'm a big fan of Mike Schmitz, and I wish him nothing but the best. But if you get offered an opportunity to be a full general manager with the team and work with Masai Ujiri, you have to take it. You got to take that job. It's a promotion. It's a great opportunity for him, and I have no doubts that he's going to be able to crush it down there. All right, so jump on board, 503-248-0620. I'm live from the BetMGM Sportsbook at Spirit Mountain Casino, and happy to be with you on this Friday. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, what's going on, my friends? It's now 5 o'clock. Checking the NBA scoreboard. Second quarter in Philadelphia. The Knicks right now on top, 44-38, looking to go up 3-0 in the series. They've outscored the Sixers 17-7 in the second quarter. No OG Anunoby tonight for the Knicks, but Joel Embiid is playing for the Sixers. At 6:30 on Prime Video, the Spurs are in Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. Game 3 of that series, it's all tied up at 1. Right now, San Antonio is favored by 5.5. Tomorrow, we'll have a couple of Game 3s, Lakers, Thunder, Cavs, and Pistons. From the NFL, the Jets have made Breece Hall the highest-paid running back in the NFL with a 3-year, $45 million extension. And the college football coaches, led by the American Football Coaches Association, are advocating for a larger playoff format of potentially 24 teams. More of the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing is coming up next. Yeah, this is a great song, The System. It's also one of those songs that reminds me of summertime, sunshine, nice weather. Telephone number 503-248-0620. I'm live from the BetMGM Sportsbook at Spirit Mountain Casino today and watching a little NBA playoffs. The multiple screens with baseball games on, but really paying attention to the Knicks and the Sixers. And right now the Knicks on top 44-40 with about 5 minutes to go in the first half. Let's go out to Westland. Paul wants to chime in. Let's see what's going on in his mind. Paul, I appreciate the call. Welcome to the Rip City Drive. What's on your mind?
Chad, I appreciate you more. Just curious, last night in this friendly in Oklahoma City, the pitch was so much different than what I was expecting. Usually it's played on grass, but this soccer match was being played on hardwood. All the flopping, the whining, it's like Ronaldo or Neymar out there.
I know. Yeah,
Chad,
it's really bad.
Back in our day, we got to see Mikhail absolutely clothesline Kurt Rambis. I think he got a common foul for that. We saw Parrish give it to Lemieux, deservedly, with like a $7,500 fine. Now the players wear pink shoes, and back in the day, the Celtics were all black, and they were called the Converse weapons. Just different times, but the game is not going the right direction. And so my answer, we can review all these plays, find them. After the game, say, Holmgren, what are you doing, bro? That's $10,000, that's $50,000. You do it twice, you're out of game. What do you think of that?
I think that's the best answer, Paul, and I appreciate you calling in to chime in. I think the best way for the NBA to handle this nonsense is to weed it out. And I think the best way to do it is with stiff penalty. So if you start, I think Paul's idea was, hey, you start with a couple of fines, hefty fines on guys after the plays are reviewed. And if you're proven to flop with no contact, then fine them. And if it happens twice, then you look at suspending them for a game. If you start to take away game checks and penalize the players for that type of activity and get serious about it, you can weed the nonsense out of the game. And that's what I would like to see. I love drama, and I love the entertainment that comes from the type of nonsense that we saw last night. But Paul's right. It looked like a soccer match out there. It's just out of control. And then the officials lose control, and it gets worse. And then we have a playoff game marred by flopping and poor officiating. And I don't want that because I like seeing the best players go head-to-head in almost like a celebration of, basketball greatness. And I don't need that type of nonsense. And, look, I'm not saying I want the game to go back to the way it was. Things change. And the NBA used to have a lot of gruesome fights, and so they wanted to weed out a lot of that type of physicality, and that's fine. But now it's swung too far the other way. You've got to get a handle on the guys who are flopping and drop stiff penalties. So I'm okay with a system like that. Go back and review the plays, and if a guy is proven to have baited an official, then you fine him. And if they do it a couple of times after that, you can suspend them for a game. Just get serious about trying to weed out that type of nonsense in the game. Now, see, it was different when I grew up because basketball teams, much like hockey teams, they had enforcers out there. Maurice Lucas was one who played for the Trailblazers. Charles Oakley, who played for the Chicago Bulls. Rick Mahorn. There's been a number of enforcers over the years in the NBA. And those guys were on the court for a couple of different reasons. One, to protect the offensive star, like Oakley protecting MJ, from the physicality and some of the hard fouls that would come. But also the enforcer would basically act as a police officer out there on the court. So if there was nonsense going on or there were weird shenanigans, the enforcer would lay down a hard foul to send a message that, hey, if you continue with those type of antics, we're going to continue to pound you. And that's exactly what happened. And so I'm okay with that. Fine them and then suspend them. I was okay with the enforcer, too, and guys policing their own, but that's a little bit too dangerous. And the league wanted to get the fighting out, and I understand that. But they've got to get serious about trying to get a handle on this crap. Let's go out to Blake. Blake's in Portland. He wants to chime in. Blake, I appreciate the call. You're up on the Rip City Drive. What's on your mind?
I've got a musical recommendation for you. You heard of Bachman-Turner Overdrive?
Yes, I have.
BTO, they have a great song. It's called Blue Collar. When you get a chance, bring it up. It's pretty good.
All right. Well, we'll do that for sure, my friend. Anything else on your mind?
Yeah. I happened by chance to be watching Wheel of Fortune the first night that the first $1 million winner. And I know you like Price is Right because I was watching this morning, and a gal in one of the games, $200,000. She holds the all-time record on Price is Right.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. What game shows did you enjoy watching when you were younger?
Well, there wasn't probably the earliest one I remember would be Price is Right in the early 70s. I mean, you watched. I watched Password. I'm sure you remember Password.
I do. Yeah, I watched Password. That was fun. My favorites were Price is Right, Sale of the Century, and I love Press Your Luck. And of course, I watched live when that guy won all that money, over $100,000 on Press Your Luck, because he memorized the pattern. That was pretty amazing. But I think like most. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, Michael Larson. I think Michael Larson was his name, the guy that memorized the pattern on the Press Your Luck board and took them for over $100,000, which is amazing.
Yeah, when that one prize came up on around the 3 o'clock part of that the board there, he put at the same time $100,000.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'll enjoy listening to you. Thanks a lot.
No, thanks. I appreciate you, Blake. All right, so Brendan, you have work to do. At some point, we got to pull up Bachman-Turner Overdrive. Ah, crap, I forgot the name of the song. Dang it. Hate it when I forget that. I got so excited talking to Blake from Portland, he brought up game shows, and my brain turned off. What was the name of that song? Overtime? Overdrive. No, it's Bachman-Turner Overdrive. Ah, dang it, I forgot the song. Oh, well. I appreciate you, Blake. Thanks for chiming in. I've been going back and watching. I do it for dinner. I watch one episode while I'm eating dinner because I like what I like to do in the evening after because I got to get puppy shots taken care of, make sure everything's in order. And then when I eat dinner, I just like to have, a period of time after I make my meal to sit down and just turn my brain off. And so that usually involves, like 45 minutes to 60 minutes of watching something where I don't have to think and I can just enjoy myself. So I've been pulling up old episodes on Price is Right. They're on Amazon Prime, and I'm just amazed by the whole thing. Right now I'm in episodes like 1982 to 1983. I cannot believe some of the inappropriate things that Bob Barker says on the show almost every day. It's wild to me. And the pricing games are fun, and it's weird to look back now. Right now I'm in the early 80s on what some of the prices were for the products that are on the show. But I was a big game show guy growing up. Like most kids, I'm sure like a lot of you, you go spend time at grandma's house during the summertime. You get up in the morning, eat your breakfast, and you're watching game shows. But my favorites, Price is Right was awesome. Sale of the Century, amazing. Tic-Tac-Toe, amazing. All those games. Press Your Luck was awesome. But that episode, and they've got a documentary out. It's on YouTube. You can pull it up. Michael Larson was his name. And what he did, I think he was let's see, what was it? He was an ice cream truck driver. So he's one of those dudes that used to drive those creepy trucks with the creepy songs and sell ice cream to kids. So he gets on Pressure Luck. But what he did is he was like a super fan. So according to the documentary for the old Pressure Luck, he had a bunch of television screens that he set up in his house and watched the show over and over and over again. And he discovered the pattern of the board and the lights and when they would light up on certain spots. And so he memorized it. And then he got on the game show, and he ended up taking them for over $100,000 in cash and prizes. And he was so synced up that there was a stretch there where he kept getting like $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 in a spin. And from what I understand, after watching the documentary, the CBS executives, they didn't want to pay him. They did not want to pay him because they thought that he had pulled one over on them. But after they investigated, they realized that it was on them, that it wasn't Michael Larson who was cheating. He just memorized the pattern. It was on them for not having a more complex board. That he memorized the pattern, he took advantage of it, and he was able to win and take home over $100,000, which is pretty amazing. But I think that's funny. After the investigation, they were bitter and did not want to pay, but then they realized, like, he just memorized the pattern. That's on us for not having a more complex pattern. But that's an all-timer right there. And I watched it live. But that's what we did back in the day. We go, my grandma lived probably like 90 minutes away. So my parents would happily drop us off, and we'd stay there for like, a week or two at a time. And grandmas were great, right? Because you go to the store and they get you all the snacks you wanted, get up in the morning, have pancakes, go play outside a little bit, and then come in front of the TV for little Price is Right time. And then my grandpa would kick us out because he'd want to watch other stuff on the tube. And it was funny because my grandpa had, Lou Gehrig's disease. He couldn't talk, but he could moan and make noises. But he sat in a chair, and he had a typewriter right next to him. And so to communicate with us, he would type messages. And his mind was perfectly sharp, and he could, carry on a conversation or whatever. But when he wanted to communicate something, he would just type it on the typewriter. But at nighttime, sometimes he would type a message because we'd be sitting there playing or doing whatever, and we'd hear the typewriter. So we'd go over and see what he was saying. And he'd be like, you guys need to leave the room. And that's usually because he wanted to watch a movie with like Richard Pryor or something in it. And he knew it was going to be inappropriate material for a young mind. So he would type out a message and tell us to get the heck out of Dodge. But it was great. I remember my grandpa, he was cool because he would, he liked music. So I'd play records for him, and he was a big country music fan. And so I'd play little 45 records on his stereo. I'd go and get things for him. And then he loved golf, and he was a big golfer before he got sick and couldn't, move anymore. But he was a big golfer and liked to watch tournaments, so I'd watch golf tournaments with him. And then my grandma had one of those wall air conditioners, not central cooling unit, but she had one of the wall air conditioners right there in the living room, and it would get hotter than H-double hockey sticks outside in the summertime in Oklahoma. So a lot of times I'd go get some Kool-Aid. And then go park myself right in front of the air conditioner and crank that up until I got cooled off. But that's the way it was. Grandpa would use the typewriter to communicate. He would boot us out of the living room when he wanted to watch something that was not kid-related. But I would play music for him, and we'd watch golf tournaments together. I enjoyed those days. But game shows were prominently featured. But the old Price is Rights are good. I just like doing that when I'm eating dinner. I just need like 60 minutes to just turn my brain off. Right now, the Knicks on top by 9, 54-45, with 3 minutes to play in the first half. And so the Sixers right now clinging on for their dear lives. But the Knicks, I got to give them props, man. They're playing good basketball right now. That potential Detroit-New York matchup in the Eastern Conference Final would be awesome. All right, we'll keep things rolling. I'm live from the BetMGM Sportsbook at Spirit Mountain Casino. I hope you're enjoying your Friday afternoon. If you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620. And Paul was not wrong. That basketball game between the Lakers and Thunder last night looked and sounded and felt a lot like a soccer match with all the drama and guys trying to get over on the officials and the complaining. It's like, what are we doing here? What's going on with you guys? All right, I appreciate your time. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, thank you to all of you who reached out. My buddy Josh, Pauline, a number of you reached out to let me know the name of the song, Blue Collar by BTO. I got so excited talking about game shows that I forgot the name of the song that he was telling me to play. Now, we don't have that song in our system at iHeart, but I did pull it up and listen to it during the break, and that is a nice song. And I've heard it before. I just had forgotten about it. So I appreciate that, Blake. Thank you. 503-248-0620. I just ran into Bob from Salem, who came up to say hi to me, and we talked for a few minutes, and he mentioned that he just broke 80 on the golf course. And he's like, that was my first time. I had to play really well. I don't know if I could do it again, but I told him that you have now hit the holy grail of golf, that breaking 80 is the holy grail. I've got a couple of hole-in-ones, but breaking 80 was the first time brought more pleasure than anything because that's hard to do. So I understand the feeling. So, Bob, I appreciate that. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. There are a lot of good songs. A lot of good songs for summertime. Rich Patterson put together a mix for me, summertime mix. Isn't it interesting how certain songs just feel like summertime? Just like certain songs remind you of winter or different seasons or whatever. Let's go out to the phones. Raider Mike wants to chime in. Raider Mike, my friend, how you doing, buddy? What's up?
Hola, amigo. What's up, my man?
Just chilling.
Getting ready to sing.
Are you singing tonight? All right.
I sing 5 times a week here in Asheville.
What's on the set list for tonight?
I'm open with TNT. Then I'm gonna go to Outshine by Soundgarden, and then probably Kashmir, and then maybe I'm Amazed by Paul McCartney and Wings.
I love it.
That's what's planned. But people ask me to sing songs, and it costs them lots for me to get off my schedule to do that. So anyway, we'll see what happens. This Knicks game is getting out of hand. This series is going to be real short. It's like Pistons and Knicks, which, man, that's some old school stuff there.
It's old school. I want it really bad.
Those two teams. Go ahead, Chad. I want a bad.
No, that's what I want. I want that series, man. Yeah. I want that series. I want Pistons and Knicks. I like the way those two teams play. Been really impressed with Cade Cunningham and the way they battle back against Orlando. And then New York right now, one of the hottest teams in basketball. But there's a certain togetherness to the way the Knicks play. They're well connected on both ends right now. Like I'm enjoying watching them play. They're fun.
Yeah, and they don't bother me winning a title like Boston would. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
They kind of do. They kind of do. So yeah, I'm cheering for the Knicks. I hate OKC, so I hate everyone in the West except Portland. So I have no dog in that fight. I just want a good series. It's probably going to be Victor and OKC boys, and that SGA guy. He's got to quit a flopping crap. It's getting old. It's washed up crap. All right, let's go to what I really like to talk about with you because you're the only guy who lets me go off on tangents about music and game shows. Anyway, the original Guess Who, Randy Bachman broke off from Burton Cummings. They just got back together. They're going to tour. The Guess Who is one of the most amazing bands in history. Burton Cummings' voice is fantastic. And so is Bachman's. They're two very different voices, and when they were with the Guess Who, they just killed it. They knew how to mix their voices in with each other, and then they got pissed off at each other, as most bands do. So anyway.
It's true.
If you can see them, go see them. In fact, I'm going to probably throw a guess. I'm going to probably go No Time Left for You by the Guess Who tonight. Just put a song into my head. Now, the game shows, that was a staple. You know, I'd get to school, pretend I'm sick, and I would watch The Price is Right, Tic-Tac-Doe, That was my thing. You're from Portland. Then they had that 1 o'clock weird, cool movie. Sometimes it was Godzilla on KPT 12. Now, what's his name? Tom Peterson is sponsoring that stuff. Now, is he still alive? Does that company still exist? Tom Peterson.
Not that I'm aware of.
Gonzo.
I think so.
He had a nice haircut, didn't he? Just a beautiful haircut. Last thing about game shows. When Trebek debuted in '83, I think you kind of know this. I got like a 145 IQ. I remember everything. I was Michael Thompson's Google when he was with the Blazers back in the mid-'90s, when there was no Google. So I qualified. I've never missed an episode until Trebek died. And then I don't like Jennings that much. He irritates me. I'll tune in if it's there. But I qualified for Jeopardy 4 times. And here's some history. To get on Jeopardy, you got to take their stupid test. And back then, you had to go into the studio in L.A. So I just go visit friends and qualify that way. And after that, it's a lottery. So, like, back then, it was like, I don't know, 15,000, 16,000 people would test. 1,500 would pass. But there's only slots for 700 or 800 players. So I never got picked, even though I qualified 4 times from, like, 89 to 2007, somewhere in there. It doesn't really matter. Well, yeah. And did you see the movie The Luckiest Man in the World, or whatever the hell that was?
No, but I have a more important question. You just told me, so your IQ is 145?
Yeah. I've never lost a Trivial Pursuit. I destroy people at Jeopardy.
Where did you get tested to know that your IQ is 145?
Well, the military tested me, first off. And then they also gave me a GT score. I scored 127 out of 130. I was top 1% of the country when I went in the military when I was 17. Yeah, I got a weird brain. That's why I know all the weird crap, and I can sing all the songs I sing and remember all the songs I sing. So, yeah. I'm a fun guy to hang out with, Chad.
Well, I know. I don't doubt that at all. But before you go, you got to give me a little TNT. Give me a little TNT before you get out of here.
Okay.
See me right out in the sunset on your color TV screen.
Is that good enough for you?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Rock and roll, bro. Love you, bro.
There you go. Love you, man. There's Raider Mike. All right, I just looked this up when I was talking to Raider Mike. He says, and keep in mind, I don't even know what my IQ is. I don't know what the number is. I've never been tested that I'm aware of. I don't even know what the range is, to be honest with you, with what is considered a high IQ and it's not. I just know that if I had to take a guess, I'm not 145. Let's just put it that way. Nowhere near 145. So I looked it up because Mike said 145. I was like, what? And it says here, an IQ of 145 is considered highly gifted or in the, quote, genius range, placing an individual in approximately the top 0.1% of the population. It indicates exceptional cognitive abilities, strong abstract reasoning, and advanced problem-solving skills often associated with professionals like scientists, researchers, or top-tier academics. Now, I wouldn't have, on the surface, placed Raider Mike into that category, probably because he's a Raider fan. The other details that it lists about a 145 IQ, generally classified as highly gifted, 145 to 159 are genius, significantly above the average score of 100. Okay, so at least I know where I fit in. Somewhere, if 100 is the average score, I'd probably give myself 70 to 80. That'd be my guess. Also, rarity. A score of 145 is very rare, often cited as being roughly 3 standard deviations above the mean, meaning only about 1 in 1,000 people may reach this level. It sometimes can lead to social or emotional difficulties, including feelings of being different or isolated, as the ability to connect with others may be challenged by a 30-plus point IQ difference. And also it says here, while a 145 IQ provides significant cognitive advantages, it is a measure of potential rather than guarantee of success, which still requires motivation, emotional intelligence, and effort. See, I think that was part of the problem. You know, my brother, who passed away in December, I forgot what his number was, but he was gifted. Like, my brother was really smart, like genius-level IQ, and I think that's part of the reason why he and I did not get along too often, because he was wanting to talk about higher-level things, and I was like, dude, did you see the game last night, bro? Did you see that fadeaway by Larry? You know, I would want to talk sports and things that other boys my age were talking about, but I think I bored my brother, probably because he was too smart. 145 IQ. Raider Mike has a 145 IQ. He says he does. I don't know. But I've been around a lot of Raider fans. When I worked, we carried him on our station when I was down there in the Bay Area. So I've been around a lot of Raider fans, and I went to a number of Raider games. I just didn't realize that Raider fans would fit into that category of being highly gifted or in the genius range. I did not know. The first time I went to a Raider game, I took the BART. I got off at the train station right there at the Coliseum, and as I was walking up the steps to my first Raider game in the Coliseum, surrounded by Raider fans, I looked up, and there was a guy with a Howie Long jersey on, black Raider jersey, and he had a fifth of Hennessy in his pocket, back pocket. And I thought, welcome to Raider Nation. Raider Mike, 145 IQ. That's pretty good. I don't know if I've ever been tested. It was probably one of those deals where I was tested, but after my parents got the score, they probably thought it was best not to share it with me. That's interesting. I did, though. I was getting, I don't know if it's the same nowadays, but when I was graduating from high school, we would get, like, literally harassed by the recruiters, the military recruiters, Navy, Army, Air Force, all of them, right? And this one guy, he was on me for the Navy, and I didn't want to go because I wanted to do other things. And so finally I went down to the they had a testing site right there off Columbia Boulevard, and so I went in and bombed on the test on purpose so he'd leave me alone. He did not bother me after I took that test, but he wanted me bad. He was after me. And so I was talking to my dad about it, and, you know, I ended up not going. But, yeah, the recruiters would hang around on the campus and stuff. I don't know if that still happens, but back in the day, they were all over you, trying to find recruits and bring them in. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Do you know your IQ number? Why don't we start with that question? Raider Mike is a 145. I do not know what my IQ is. I mean, I don't recall taking a test like that. Huh. But, yeah, my brother was a sharp one. Really smart. I mean, problem solving, could figure things out. My dad, I don't know what my dad's IQ is, but I think he's definitely above my level because he understands. But I think there's a difference, too. Like, I know guys who are high IQ, high level. But then I also know guys, or you probably do as well, people who with wisdom, right? And there's a difference there. Like, my dad is a man with wisdom. So you can see a difference. Josh has chimed in. NBA coaches complaining about officiating in the playoffs is a yearly script, almost as though the league plans it. Hand script to the coaches, complain, then the following game or two rebalances the calls, the free throws. Yearly entertainment occurrence. Year in and year out, it happens right on schedule. And he's not wrong about that. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I was entertained by the entire scene at Oklahoma City last night. I acknowledge that Oklahoma City was out of control. I acknowledge that they were, baiting the officials for foul calls. But I've never seen a team hold a summit with the officiating crew after a game on the floor, surrounding the officials. Like, what's going on there? What are they doing? What are they talking about? And the Lakers were pleading for their help because it's so bad. It's not. I mean, it has to think about how bad you have to be as an official to get a man like me in the city of Portland to feel sorry for the Lakers. I actually did. I was like, dude, they are getting railroaded right now. But then I also acknowledge that LeBron is a foul baiter as well. He does the same crap. There's too many guys in the league that do it now. We need a strong shift back to the other direction. We need some guys who are hard to come in and say, not on my watch. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to stoop to that level. I don't care if it benefits me and the team or whatever. I'm not going to become a flopper. But the reason why they do it is because they're rewarded. It's nonsense. Third quarter just underway now in Philadelphia. Knicks 60, Sixers 52. So an 8-point ball game as they kick off the third quarter. And then coming after this game, we're going to get Minnesota and San Antonio. And I expect it's going to be the intensity level, the atmosphere, everything at the stadium is going to be great. Looking forward to that. Now Travis reaches out to me. Travis Weber says he's got a 145 IQ. I don't know. I've never had mine tested. The thing is, like, if I went and got an IQ test, I don't know if I want to share the number with you all. Like, I don't know. I'm going to guess, though, that I'm not sitting with Travis Weber and Raider Mike. But, yeah, I know, like, my dad, like my Nana probably had a low IQ, only because, she, back in the day, like, she didn't have a college education, and I don't even know if she finished all of her grades in school. It was a different time back then, but she was very wise. So it's interesting when you come across people that on paper may have a lower IQ, but they have a lot of wisdom based on, life experience, based on what they've been through. I've always thought that if you really want to know what's going on in the world, go find the table at the coffee shop where all the old guys sit. The guys who have raised kids, had a marriage, lived life, had a career, served in the military. Like, they've done all these different things to acquire this life experience. That's where you're going to find the wisdom. At least that's, in my experience, that's what I've been able to find out. All right, 503-248-0620. Raider Mike, or I should say Travis, also a Raider fan. He just sent me a picture from the golf course of his ball in the hole, and it's got a Raider logo on it. That's despicable. I would not want to play golf with a ball with a Raider logo on it. There you go. Let's see here. And Brendan chimes in. Hey, Chad, I think people's IQ is like the fish story. Keeps getting bigger and bigger each time they tell it. That's possible, too. That is possible, too. And here's another one, too. Most Chads are extremely smart. I don't know about that. My name, Chad, is almost like a derogatory name now. Like, don't be a Chad. Let's see here. Are Chad? I'm gonna ask Google. Are Chads usually smart? Let's find out. You can ask Google anything. And this is what pops up. I ask it, are Chads usually smart? In internet slang, a Chad is primarily defined by a physical appearance and social confidence rather than his intelligence. He is generally portrayed as a tall, athletic, and socially successful man. Well, that's not a bad thing. That's the other thing, too. Would you rather be high IQ or socially successful? And it breaks down the whole thing on Chad. Stereotype focus. The focus is on muscularity, good looks, confidence, and popularity. It is a masculine persona that can be interpreted positively as having high confidence or negatively as being arrogant. Intelligence levels. There is no fixed rule that Chads are smart. In some cases, the stereotype leans towards being meth heads or superficial, lacking depth. Misconception. People often mistake a Chad for being unintelligent due to the focus on athleticism, but like any group, this varies from person to person. Well, there you go. So see, I like my name Chad because it's not super common. I just think it's funny how my name has become like a slang term. Like Karen. Chad has basically become like a Karen. That's all. Well, there you go. I had no idea when this segment began I was going to find out that Raider Mike has an IQ of 145. I do like hearing him sing AC/DC, though. Knicks on top by 9 with 9:05 to go third quarter. All right, you've got the Rip City Drive. I'm live from the BetMGM Sportsbook at Spirit Mountain Casino, getting ready for the Fortune Frenzy Cube. It's pretty fun to watch people get in the cash cube for 30 seconds and grab money out of the air. I love it. And we got a good weekend of weather coming up, too. Don't forget, Sunday is Mother's Day. You got the Rip City Drive. is in the category of skeptical on Raider Mike having a 145 IQ. He just sent me a video. I've got the full-length video of Raider Mike singing TNT now. I can't wait to check it out. That should be interesting. He is a good dude, though. I've been on the golf course with Raider Mike. Love him to death. He's crazy. That's why he's one of those guys when he comes on the show, you got to have your finger near a dump button because chaos is liable to ensue, no question about it. Let's go out. Pauline is out there. I haven't talked to her on the show in a while. Let's talk to Pauline. Pauline, it's great to have you on, my friend. What's going on?
Well, I just wanted to let you know I don't know what my IQ is, but I think it's larger than my favorite answer this gal gave on the match game.
Oh, good. What'd she give?
So here we go. Cuckoo blank. Okay, what do you think that is, Chad?
Cuckoo blank.
Yeah.
Bird. Cuckoo bird.
Okay, her answer was Cuckoo, Fran, and Ollie. Do you remember that show, Kukla, Fran, and Ollie?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So not only was she wrong once, she was wrong twice.
Gosh, that's so good. That's great.
So,
I just pulled it up. I'm gonna have to pull up. I want to see if I can find a video on that. That's so good. That was from the match. Was that from the match game?
Yeah. The expressions are priceless, right?
Oh, it's good. Yeah, I just found the video. I'm going to be able to watch the video now. That's epic. Yep, Cuckoo, Friend, and Ollie. That's the answer. That's so good. Did you grow up watching game shows too, Pauline?
I did. Oh, but the answer really was Kook Clock, right?
Yeah, it was Cuckoo Clock. Yeah, I think that's a real answer.
Yeah, but anyway. I would like you watch things at my grandparents' house and whatever's on. They used to do the whole Lawrence Welk thing too. So
yeah,
that era.
Do you remember? I don't remember taking an IQ test in school. Did we ever take one when we were younger? Do you remember that?
I don't remember. I do not remember.
Yeah, so, I remember standardized testing and stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
I probably don't want to. I don't want to know either.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't need to know. I've made it this far. I don't need to know what number I'm working with, man. But if Raider Mike's a 145, good for him. There's certain things in life I don't need to know. I'd put that right up there. Who cares?
Hey, sometime I'll talk to you about Blazers.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this new era we get into, I hope he doesn't cut too deep because it's the people, your broadcasting friends, the broadcasting team, they make it's like a TV show without the music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you take certain parts away, it makes a huge impact. And
yes,
I would hate to lose some of our staple broadcasters that you've grown to love and grow up with, listen to, and rely on for top-notch information,
No, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
Well, Pauline, I appreciate you chiming in. It's always good to hear from you, and I'm glad you're well.
Thank you. And enjoy this beautiful weekend.
I'm going to. The weather's fabulous. I love it.
And happy Mother's Day to all those mothers out there.
That's right. Don't forget, Sunday is Mother's Day. You don't want to screw it up. Big thanks to Pauline for calling in. All right, let's bring this down here. No, come on now. Join in. Yeah, bring it down. I've got a guest that wants to talk for a couple of seconds. All right. There you go. Yeah, come on, Heidi. Talk to me.
Oh,
What's going on?
What's going on?
Heidi from Spirit Mountain Casino, one of the hosts here, stopped by. Wanted to check things out. What's going on, Heidi?
Not much. What about you?
Just chilling. How are things going?
It's going.
That's good. We're getting ready for the Fortune Frenzy drawing, so we get to watch people in the cash cube. I love that. That's
right.
A good time.
Yeah.
Do your players enjoy that?
Oh, yeah.
That's good. How long have you worked here at Spirit Mountain Casino now?
22 years.
See, that's awesome. That's a long time. A lot of long-term employees down here.
For sure.
And what I love about you, Heidi, is that you're a sports fan. So who are your football team? Who's your football team?
I can't tell you that.
Patriots?
Yes, sir.
You love Gronk, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm okay with that. You're a Blazers fan.
Yes, sir.
Patriots fan, but you've also picked up the game of golf and you enjoy going out and playing. That's good.
Yep, and I'm also going to start following the Portland Fire.
Yes, the Portland Fire. They kick off their season tomorrow at Moda Center.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I'm happy that now can you get your kids or family involved and want to maybe go check out a Fire game?
Probably not.
Probably not?
No.
But I'm excited about the opportunity to see like Caitlin Clark or some of the other stars come to town. Like that's what excites me, right?
Yeah, Sabrina.
Yeah, Sabrina's awesome. Sabrina's
injured right now, I believe.
Yeah, but what's great about Sabrina, not only is she a phenomenal talent, but she's a terrific person too. So I love her to death. She's great. And she was fun to watch, awesome at Oregon, so I've enjoyed watching her play. But I'm glad you stopped by.
Yeah.
You just came over to check things out.
I did.
Here's the rule of thumb. When you are near a radio guy and there's a microphone around, you can just assume they're going to want to put it in front of you.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk.
How long have you been one of the hosts here now at Spirit Mountain Casino?
8 years this month.
Now, how many total players? I would imagine they divide the players up with different people. How many people do you work with players-wise?
Approximately 435.
Wow, that's a big group.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. How many of those are regulars that come in frequently?
Maybe 100, 150.
150?
Yeah.
So I know we got Casey and the Sunshine Band coming up. Any other big events coming up that they're excited about or you're excited about?
We have the Mother's Day brunch that's this Sunday.
And that's going to be down the hall in the brunch room?
Yes. And then June 21st, we'll have our Father's Day barbecue.
Uh-huh.
And then Casey and the Sunshine Band. Jeff Dunham's coming in July.
Yes.
So some pretty good ones.
All right, good. Well, big thanks to Brendan Slaughter. I appreciate you all listening. I'll be back with the Rip City Drive Monday at 3. And big props to Heidi for stopping by, one of the hosts down here at Spirit Mountain. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, you guys have a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I'll talk to you on Monday at 3 here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.